I thought you were a black guy.
Hey.
You're Indian?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta be
What kind
kidding
of
me.
Indian are you?
Like Tonto Indian?
Okay, I'm reloading.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
Who name you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscious.
One at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
Who name you coming in? By who power? Is what?
I want to sign a deal. Sell my soul. Sell my soul.
Who name you coming in?
soul.
By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscious, you know.
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
You gonna smell my cologne in Shimiyaki on the bar number 9, because I do not play.
That's the same clone I wear.
Tabernacle sanctuary, because we keep God first in everything we do.
Hey, pimp. Wait, stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. Before we get any further down this rabbit hole, respectfully, what is going on with these Bekteshis all over the screen?
Everybody ain't out here parading. I'm an Indian. I'm Aboriginal. People got lives to live. They done suffered enough in their ancestral line. They just want to be left alone. They're not out here wearing it as a badge of honor. For what? People calling me, texting me, inboxing me. I need my Aboriginal paper. Aboriginal paper for what? You mean your birth certificate? 'Cause that's the only Aboriginal paper you're gonna get. I need to change my nationality. Really? I'm going down to the Social Security office and change your birth certificate. Tell them it's an error. Well, I thought I had to pay $800. You that damn gullible? Be careful with that. Don't exist. I had to clarify this week the SF-181. Why? Because I am a government contractor. That only deals with federal employees of minority or other different ethnicity. Everybody ain't out here parading, I'm an Indian. I'm Aboriginal. People got lives to live. They done suffered enough in their ancestor lines. They just want to be left alone. They're not out here wearing it as a badge of honor. For what? People calling me, texting me, inboxing me. I need my Aboriginal paper. Aboriginal paper for what? You mean your birth certificate? Because that's the only Aboriginal paper you're going to get. I need to change my nationality. Really? I'm going down to the Social Security office and change your birth certificate. Tell them it's an error. Well, I thought I had to pay $800. You that damn gullible? Be careful with that. Don't exist. I had to clarify this week the SF-181. Why? Because I am a government contractor. That only deals with federal employees of minority or other different ethnicity for promotions. Ain't got nothing to do with a doggone thing with changing.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
Taking that form and transform it into something else.
Who named you coming in?
Well, if you wasn't trying to be greedy or you wasn't trying to beat the system, you wouldn't get caught up in paying $800-900 to somebody it into something else. Well, if you wasn't trying to be greedy or you wasn't trying to beat the system, you wouldn't get caught up in paying $800-900 to somebody who's gonna give you an Aboriginal paper that they gonna file a file at the clerk of court. Let me tell you something. If you sovereign, you don't file paper with anyone. How you gonna get your nationality back paying somebody $900 and they gonna file your paperwork at the clerk of court? Huh? Wake up, people. There are scams running. Beware. Don't fall for that. Your booty gonna be so, and your pocket is gonna be a little lighter. Leave it alone. There is no Aboriginal paperwork for you to fill out. Hell, the federal native tribes don't have it. So how you gonna get it? Oh, we don't worry about that. We indigenous, so I got my indigenous paper. Okay? But who you filed it with? You're sovereign, you don't file paper with anyone. Period.
Dom the Mongo. Dom the Mongo.
If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the incredible Hawkin. This is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we're broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Today, we will be listening to some primary sources, I guess you can say. And let's just go back to the main screen so we could get some clarity, all right? I always like to start from the top, and this is courtesy of Harvard Library, to be exact, okay? And this is knowing a primary source when you see one, all right? Primary source is first-hand testimony or direct evidence concerning a topic under investigation. They are created by witnesses or recorders who experience the events or conditions being documented. Let me reload.
What's this guy's name? It's something Hawk. And it may sound stereotypical, but dude looks like he's done some time. And sounds like he's done some time.
A lot of talk, and that's all it is. Just a lot of talk. About what an Indian is and what an Indian isn't. All right. But what I've come to realize is a lot of these guys they're not Native Americans, they're not Aboriginal, they're not Indians, they're not Africans. All right. They're what do my sons call them? I believe it's NPC. Yeah. Well, what we got going on today is big engine business.
You can't do nothing, nigga. You can't do nothing, nigga. That's what I'm saying, nigga. You can't do nothing, big man.
Right, one at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Oh, shit.
They've really been trying very, very hard, tribe, to keep us from being who we are. Let's go crazy. Let's just go crazy. Shout out Reginald Jones in the building. All right, we're gonna rearrange this whole thing right now. Shout out Reginald Jones. What is this called? Yeah. We just that surgical with it. All right. Ain't fucking with us. All right. You see it happening before your very eyes. That's how we do it. We thorough like that, tribe. We thorough like that. You know what I'm talking about? Let's run some new music. All right. Share the live stream. All right. We're gonna be letting these suckers. All right. We got some. And at first we just had video from, I believe it was 1993, right? Or should I say 2014? But then I decided to go ahead and go even further, all right? And we got some testimony, all right, from so-called Black Indians, all right, from 1993, I believe it is, all right? Some of these guys were still a little worm in their papa's sack around that time, all right? Stop the music. Just stop the music, all right? Talking about what an Indian is and what an Indian ain't and who an Indian is and who ain't an Indian. Straight up, man. I'm really getting, I'm getting tired of it, because these guys are really, what's the word? They're plants, all right? Put some gems in the chat if you could hear me loudly and clearly. You know what I'm saying? And I saw one of your other buddies, all right? They're stealing my whole stream sauce. You know what I'm talking about? God damn, son. All right? I mean, indeed, what's the word? Imitation is a form of flattery, but I don't want to be flattered, all right? Straight up. Play the music.
You can't do nothing, nigga. You can't do nothing, nigga. That's what I'm saying, nigga. You can't do nothing, big man.
What's this guy's name? It's something Hawk.
I thought you were a black guy. Hey. You're Indian? Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, you gotta be kidding.
Indian are you?
Newsflash, you ain't my friend in the first place.
And listen, warming up. I don't know what his hood at. My hood like 5 minutes down the street, man. Let's get it.
And it may sound stereotypical, but dude looks like he's done some time. And sounds like he's done some time.
Bro, if a nigga lie to you, a nigga will kill you. Same nigga lie to you will kill you, bro. A nigga that'll lie to you will kill you.
For Native people who converted to Christianity or took European names, where are these surnames based upon? Because it's European. I have a question. I have a serious problem with it. Oh, sure, you'll be genetic cousins, but you're not blood cousins. Yes, they improvement. How is DNA going to tell me who my relative was 10,000 years ago? It's not a scientific fact. It's a guess, like Einstein's theory of relativity. It's never been proven. They take it to be fact. But you have people out there that live and die by DNA. I don't believe in it. I don't need it. I will never take one. Why should I take one if I can go back to 1725? Documentation on my family. I can go back another 60 years with oral stories. I'm not going to take one. I think it's laziness when people get into it. And what people really need to do, your ancestors, your great-grandma or your great-aunt or great-grandpa left you something. And when he said, my mother was an Indian, my daddy was an Indian, so what does make you think that you're not an Indian? The blood just died out and disappeared with you? This is how colonial law has come into play. Everyone needs to go research the census of 1930. Take my word for it. Go read it.
Well, what will we find in the census of 1930?
Race classification that is biased. And what I mean by that, if your mother was an Indian and your father was black, you were black.
But
if your mother was white and your father was an Indian or vice versa, you were Indian or you were white. Any drop of black blood they claim made you black. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it very carefully. Black is a color, not a necessity. So what most people don't understand, by not studying the racial law, when those folks came out slavery and everybody under the umbrella of Negro, you don't know what your ancestors are, so you have to go by your oral stories or do some detective work by becoming a forensic genealogist and dissect the situation. How do you dissect it?
How do you dissect it? Oh, we're gonna figure it out. Let's start here.
I work for the University of Pennsylvania as Assistant Director for Opportunity and Access and also the first coordinator of Native American recruitment. I'm also a past councilwoman of the tribe. I've worked as their director for a number of years prior to working for the University of Pennsylvania.
Tina Pierce Fragoso is Nanticoke Lenni Lenape from Bridgeton, New Jersey. Even in first grade, she found herself educating her classmates and her teacher about her people.
I certainly got in trouble in first grade when somebody says there are no Native people on the East Coast. And I said, well, wait a minute, I'm sitting right here. I really wanted to take the message of my people still being here, I was really fascinated with the field of anthropology because it allowed me to study Native people and for me to be able to tell the stories of my community.
Tina graduated from Princeton University, went on to Stanford to earn her master's degree, and is finishing up her doctorate.
Wait, stop the Tina. What is going on? All right, we have a lot of very confusing things being said to us here, folks. All right, and I wanted to make the chat. I wanted everybody to be able to express themselves, all right, and say what they got to say. Shout out to everyone, to the Hawksters, all right? We got the membership now, all right? We're putting everything on private, on members only, all right? And we're going to be dropping the book links and all that. We're going to do that on the members only, and those videos will be commercial free, all right? And if you don't like the idea of that, well, then you're going to have to hit the like button if you just want to be a spectator, all right? Because what we plan to do is, if we don't get 100 likes on the video, then we're just going to make it members only. That's how we're going to do it, all right? Because we're giving away too much sauce, all right? And what I realized as I was looking through the archives is that a lot of these guys are Hawk School dropouts. All right, and they don't give us our just due or our just credit or any of that. And, of course, we don't want credit from these peons. Or, as we more commonly call them here at Hawk School, pig eons, all right? Because hawks don't fly with pig eons. But you're ruining my algorithm, guy. All right? Straight up. Now, we're going to learn more about this sister here, as you can see. All right? There's her parents. All right? She's an American Indian. All right? And she's very proud, and I'm very sad to see this more current video that we're watching, all right, because we're going to learn a little bit more about her and about the Lenni Lenapes, all right, because you got this guy, Turtle Dove, all right, what's this guy, Still Urkel, all right. And he's making videos about us. He's got his buddy, Thought a Coincidence, making videos about us. And what do you think about this Thought a Coincidence guy? Let's ask Oprah. All right, let's ask Oprah what she thinks.
He suffered in silence with this problem for years, having a lot of difficulty in staying erect and having a very small member.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
One at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
In between me and the mother dude, you gonna get me, and I'm gonna come see you, yeah. You gonna get the mother dude, they got their nip wrapped with you. So if you want me, man, come on with me.
You are cut down to the ground. You who weakened the nation.
She's working hard to make sure the next generation has the Lenape culture to embrace.
Anishi Patama Se Imuyan Kotnapo. It means thank you, Creator, for giving us this day.
It means dance with me, and like I have it on my moccasins, and all my moccasins that I make, I always bead that on there as like a little saying to myself to go out there and dance my best.
Because our people have always wanted to make sure that other people knew that we were here, but more importantly that our own communities continue to be Native people in the future, and that they would have the resources that they needed to make sure that they didn't lose that identity.
Local Delaware and Nanticoke Indian tribes encountered European explorers and settlers as early as the middle 15 and 1600s. As the settler communities grew, many Indian families migrated west and are located today in Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Canada. Tina's ancestors, who remained here in our region, hid in plain sight, as they say, and survived as small communities within the churches.
Our existence was through the churches. We were one of the first tribes to be Christianized. And we've always had the toss-up between
small communities within the churches.
Our existence was through the churches. We were one of the first tribes to be Christianized. And we've always had the toss-up between traditional.
Wait, stop the video,
Christian
stop the
life.
video, stop the video, stop the video. The first tribe to be Christianized? Whatever does that mean?
Okay, I'm reloading.
Amongst the people in the tribe. We never knew how to adjust to that. And some of the things that in the church, we governed around family matriarchs, and we lost all that. And the elders in the church were the ones that kind of set the rules that we had to continue to live by when there's a change. And then the tribe decided that we're starting to drift away from who we are. And they wanted to do a formal tribal government. The struggle then was to keep the families together, because that was the main reason why we had to take it out of the church. The families were starting to drift away. And the traditional people and the Christian people had to come to some kind of compromise. And we did it.
Today, the church continues to play a vital role in the Bridgeton community, embracing and incorporating Lenape culture and beliefs into its services.
I would come here with my grandmother. My great-grandparents actually have a window off to the side that is like sort of an honoring plaque. They're very involved in this church community. You know, if you go out to the cemeteries here and down the street, they're filled with our tribal community. This is a special place for me. It's a place that I feel home.
Tribal members who remained in our area have had other battles as well. Without their knowledge, census takers in the late 1800s listed them as Negro or Black, removing their Native American identities with the stroke of a pen. Tribal members who remained in our area have had other battles as well. Without their knowledge, census takers in the late 1800s listed them as Negro or Black, removing their Native American identities with the stroke of a pen.
And in Sussex County, they had Indians on them, and there's copies of up to 1930 where they had crossed the Indian out and put Nig in there. And they did the same thing in Bridgeton. Only thing they put, went from C's, like I said, to M's, and mulatto to black. By the 1900s, they were all black. BL, every one of them. I'm still upset about that. And I was probably in my 25 or 30 before I realized it.
Identity as a Nanticoke Lenape person remains an important issue today, especially when it comes to gaining federal recognition. This means the tribe must show a continuous tie to the land and meet a number of other criteria.
Not so much because we need it to validate who we are, but for us to be able to make sure that our children are able to identify in the future.
In 1995, the tribe set aside 28 acres of sacred land where many of their families lived for centuries. A new tribal center was dedicated there in 2007.
We have the documentation, we have the history, and we will have federal recognition. I think we will.
Federal tribal status would provide educational and health benefits and protection of their sacred sites.
There are people that had to stay behind, that had to make sure that we had these places of important ceremony, that we had these places where our people have been buried for centuries and centuries and centuries, the places that other people who left and were removed come back to because they can feel the power of those places. I want my children to feel that power because they can draw strength from that, because it's as much of their past as it is their future.
We need our youth to really stand up and get active, because if they're not active, we will lose a lot of the things that, what little we still have as Indian people today. So.
Who named you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscious.
Bro, if a nigga lie to you, a nigga kill you. Same nigga lie to you will kill you, bro. A nigga that'll lie to you will kill you, bro. Alright?
Most merciful. We give thanks and praises to God Almighty, Lord of all the worlds, Master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thy aid we do seek. Show we the straight way, the way of those who aim to go astray. Amen.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
Around 1980. State, and that's North Carolina, and that's over in the east here. And the idea that I think I started the phrase "We are still here." I had these T-shirts made up around 1980, and so the T-shirts caught on, and the phrase, and even some poetry that I did. But I really came up with that slogan.
Damn,
because,
son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
And so the T-shirts caught on, and the phrase, and even some poetry that I did. But I really came up with that slogan because people just kept thinking and assuming that all the Indians were west of around 1980, and so the T-shirts caught state, and that's North Carolina, and that's over in the east here. And the idea that I think I started the phrase "We are still here." I had these T-shirts made up around 1980, and so the T-shirts caught on, and the phrase, and even some poetry that I did. But I really came up with that slogan because people just kept thinking and assuming that all the Indians were west of the Mississippi, and I wanted them to know that they're here along the East Coast.
I think people neglect to see that those pictures and those stereotypes that we have are actually pictures of time. They were true of 1800. They're not true of those people today, and that doesn't make us Indian, and I don't think people understand that. I think people neglect to see that those pictures and those stereotypes that we have are actually pictures of time. They were true of 1800. They're not true of those people today, and that doesn't make us Indian, and I don't think people understand that. We're Indian, but it's a part of our culture. In order for us not to be stagnant, we have to change. And that doesn't mean that we have to lose ourselves, but we should have the right to say what it is that makes us who we are, as opposed to people relying on these stereotypes and things.
Exactly.
Good. Well, see, that's one of the things that we're suffering from right now. I always just explain it as the fact that there's three types of Indians in the outside world: those who are traditionalists, those who are walking on the fence because of economic, and those who don't want anybody to know that they're Indian. Well, I want to tell you, it takes all three, because even those that we thought didn't want to be our brothers, that were hiding in the woodwork, they've been helping us do things that to progress, to protect the culture that they know is theirs. But we have right now staunch traditionalists, but you don't see them and they don't want to come forth and portray themselves on the TV or say I am and do things like that. They want to be left alone. They want to, we have people that we're trying to help. That's one of the things the Center is for. Let me stop talking in rhetoric here. These people, a lot of us never knew they existed. Now, he knew that he had some, and he knew who was in his family and just around. But we never knew as a group that these people were living in the old way. And just like going down Piercetown Road, you'll see a path that goes back in the woods. There's a house back there. We just, in 1993, we just put electric in a guy's house for the first time. And we have a lady that if we turned her in for help on a government program, they would probably condemn her and make her leave her place. Things like this where the people have lived in the old way, the government condemns them for it. And it's up to us, like I said, I'm going to be turning it over to them shortly, but it's up to us to make sure that these people survive. And not just survive, live. And every way we turn, it seems like the government is trying to put some kind of stumbling block in front of you to make sure that they know they can do what they want to do, not us do what we want to do. But in the last 15 years, we're getting pretty well educated and pretty good at it, and we're bringing our people out. We're sending our children to college, but we never had these opportunities. I know the opportunity wasn't there when we came out.
Well, as long as you have the youth oriented in that vein, then you are going to succeed. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But Tina, tell me something. How do you feel as a Native American growing up with the basic American ideals today? I mean, do you find anything conflicting with that? And what do you foresee for yourself later on in the future?
I think I'm in an interesting position as far as everyone else here in that I'm 20 years old, so I grew up knowing that I was Indian as opposed to, and being able to openly speak and being told that.
And what do you foresee for yourself later?
Stop the music. Stop the music. All right, stop the music. Do we see what we're looking at? This is circa 1993, folks. All right? These are your elders who know they are Indians discussing Indian business, big Indian business, I might add. And we're going to get into more, all right? But like I said, these are primary sources, living, breathing primary sources.
Dom the Mongo.
I think I'm in an interesting position as far as everyone else here in that I'm 20 years old, so I grew up knowing that I was Indian as opposed to, and being able to openly speak and being told that.
Now, what we're going to find out is this is the same woman who we just saw. This is her in her youth going to Princeton, all right? It looks like they've stopped the music. Stop the music, for God's sake. They have Christianized her to oblivion, if you will, as you can see by the intro video, respectfully. All right, but what she did was go to Princeton for anthropology, and she put herself in a position to become one of the narrative writers, much like, what's the other guy? Few Pigeons, and also Still Urkel. All right? Respectfully, of course, but this is big Indian business. Bro, if a nigga lie to you, a nigga will kill you. Same nigga lie to you, will kill you, bro. A nigga that'll lie to you will kill you, bro. Alright?
One at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
You have the youth oriented in that vein, then you are going to succeed. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But Tina, tell me something. How do you feel as a Native American growing up with the basic American ideals today? I mean, do you find anything conflicting with that? And what do you foresee for yourself later on in the future?
I think I'm in an interesting position as far as everyone else here in that I'm 20 years old, so I grew up knowing that I was Indian as opposed to, and being able to openly speak and being told that you don't let anyone tell you otherwise and being proud of who I am. So from a very early age, from the very beginning, I saw the clear dichotomy between the American lifestyle and Native American. So I found that incorporation along the way, and so I don't feel too much of a conflict, and I can walk with one foot in each way because I know I have to do that to a certain extent in order to maintain some things and to regain certain things. But as far as the future, I think we're on a good path. Like I said, I'm very excited to see the response the community had to the repatriation concerns. I was glad I didn't have those concerns by myself, and that showed me that even though in the past we may not always seem like a big community, or we may not always do this or this or this, but the heart of the people is there. And I think that just showed how strong the community is and how much they were willing to fight to retain their identity. So I feel very, very hopeful. Like I said, I'd like to see more youth come out, but I think that's just a matter of time now that we have all these other people that are coming in the process of getting our federal recognition.
Stop the music. Stop the music. All right, because apparently, folks, here we are in 1993, and these people are just getting federal recognition and just trying to find out who they really are, if you will. All right? We're led to believe that these guys are somebody's big homies. All right? When actually they're not. The narrative is being created. And as you saw in the intro, we saw some of the forgotten Delaware Moors.
One at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
And there's your source, all right? Delaware's forgotten folk, the story of the Moors and the Nanticokes. All right. Shout out to Reginald Jones for that Cash App. Tribe. And what do we see inside of this book, folks? We see the forgotten folk, the Moors, all right? And here they are.
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your
stop
brain.
the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. All right. Because these guys, all right, here's another one. All right, and you know what they got, guys. All right. They got that damn Bekteshi Noble Shrine mustache.
Who named you coming in? By who power?
There's a little something about you that's disturbing.
Is what? Who named you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it is considered conscious.
Stop the music, stop the music, stop the music, all right? Because these guys are the officers of the Mecca Temple of the Mystic Shrine in New York in 1984, all right? And I don't know, maybe it's just me, folks, all right? But these Bekteshi guys over here, all right? These guys, all right? Are making me, are giving me the vibe of, well, these guys.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Stop the music. Stop the music. All right, let's read an excerpt. All right, we don't want to be what's the word? Accused of flagrant lookership. All right, by any means. And what we're actually going to read is a source that's in this book, all right, because the band is said to be descended from a crew of Moorish sailors. According to James Mooney, the Siouan Tribes of the East, Bulletin 22, Bureau of American Ethnology, pages 1251 and 80, Washington, 1895. All right. Let me make sure I have this is the Britain one. I want to read the specific one. All right. And this is the Britain, the Lenape and Their Legends, page 22 to 25. All right. Philadelphia, 1885. All right. Long story short, you look it up. All right. There's a whole slew of arrows, all right, on your screen. Screenshot it. Go debunk me. Delaware, quote unquote, in fair Caucasian type, called quote unquote Indians or Moors, they are now quite generally dispersed throughout the state, especially in Kent and Sussex counties. Their origin is unknown, but according to local traditions, they are descendants of some Moorish sailors who were cast ashore many years ago in a shipwreck. Their own tradition is that they are described from an Irish mother and a Negro father. These children, having intermarried with Indians of the Nanticoke tribe, they where practicable, separate churches and schools. The latter receives state aid, folks.
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
stop the music, all right? My bad, all right? I was a little frazzled, all right? Let Uncle Leroy and his voodoo, his djinn, all right? Let him party in the chat, all right? Well, Oprah, can you tell us what's going on with Uncle Leroy in the chat? Because, you know, Uncle Leroy, you're absolutely correct. This is big Indian business we're talking about over here. All right? You're exactly right. I'm so glad that you finally said something correct. This is absolutely not our history. And Oprah, can you please tell us what's going on with Leroy in the chat? Please, Oprah.
He suffered in silence with this problem for years, having a lot of difficulty in staying erect and having a very small member.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
One at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Hey, Pimp.
Hold on. You come in my house. Don't you ever bring scare business to me.
On some bar number 9, because I do not play.
That's the same clone I wear.
Tabernacle sanctuary, because we keep God first in everything we do.
Hey, Pimp.
Stop the music, folks. Stop the music, all right? Uncle Leroy needs a friend. Uncle Leroy, what you don't know, all right? Because, you know, he probably thinks, he thinks these are Indians, all right? This is because Uncle Leroy thinks he's an African, all right? Uncle Leroy thinks he's an African, and he thinks these are Indians, all right? I'm giving you some shout outs, so make sure you hit the like, all right? Share the live stream, all right? Support the channel, all right? You can use one of your fake accounts, all right? One of your CIA accounts, all right? Now, you've kicked up enough dust, Uncle Leroy, all right? Now, let's get down to some Indian business. And you know what was very interesting? Matter of fact, let's go here. Let's let the elders talk some more.
Yeah. One primarily is in the state of New Jersey, we have no commission on Indian affairs. I just want to briefly mention a couple of the things, and then as we keep on around the table, there are more issues that need to be brought forth. In our area...
Wait, stop the music, stop the music.
We have approximately 2,000...
Hold on, Chief. All right. Now, what you fail to realize is this is big Indian business over here, all right? And that's why those Bekteshi guys, all right, that are teaching this brother here who he is, because they're stealing his identity, stealing his land, all right, unbeknownst to him. But we know that now, all right? And what he's showing us in 93 is how these people were indoctrinating him, all right? Teaching him his history. We have the other sister, she's going off to Princeton to become an anthropologist because they're so thirsty for the truth. They already know they're Indians. They already know they're Indians, sir.
Members of the tribe, and we have gone back primarily to a lot of the old ways. And the old ways that we have are primarily governed by the elders, and the things that
kept the peace and kept honor amongst our people in the old days, because we seem to be losing it. And to help me, I brought our coordinator, Karen Mosley, our practicing spiritual leader, Lou Gray Squirrel, and his daughter. She's a student at Princeton. See, the government has kept people in fear through lack of knowledge all these years. Well, through people like this, she's studying hard Indian culture through college and bringing the knowledge back to us. So that now the elders are saying, go for it. And then they're opening up and telling us things that we haven't been practicing, but they had practiced. And it's making it much more easy, and it's making it much more understandable, the things that we're learning. And because, well, like I said myself, I'm only 50, but some of the things that I knew about, but I didn't understand why. Now they're coming out and telling us because they're proud.
Well, that's good.
Prior to the opening of the program, I was talking with Tina, and she had some very fascinating things to say about the youth program and about her experiences, growing up, and like her experiences at Princeton University. Something regarding a skull that was there. We didn't get a chance to finish, but I wish you would elaborate and just tell us a little bit about, your experiences as a youth council.
Okay.
Things that I knew about.
Things to say about the youth program and about her experiences, growing up, and like her experiences at Princeton University. Something regarding a skull that was there. We didn't get a chance to finish, but I wish you would elaborate and just tell us a little bit about, your experiences as a youth council.
Okay. I'd like to start off with what Mark just said about me learning stuff through my school. When I did go to Princeton University, I didn't find very many Native American options. There's no Native American Studies program, so everything that I did, I had to incorporate within my regular course of studies. What I did, however, find was the resources for me to be able to spend time and learn how to talk with people within my community. So I've spent a lot of time in the past year and a half going back and talking with the elders. Just a few weeks ago, I spent hours and hours and hours just talking with the elders in the community and asking them to tell me about my history and to give them, for the first time in their lives, a chance to speak out and tell their culture. I think one of the ways for us to start regaining our culture and our spirituality lies in returning the bones that came in my face, basically, in a classroom where they speak out and tell their culture. I think one of the ways for us to start regaining our culture and our spirituality lies in returning the bones that came in my face, basically, in a classroom where a skull was sitting at the table. In the course of the conversation, the teachers, it came out that this was a Native American skull. They also started to say things that they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, but that they knew who the people were. And it was actually a misunderstanding, but they ended up mentioning 3 names from our community, which really disturbed me. And for the first time, I realized they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, but that they knew who the people were. And it was actually a misunderstanding, but they ended up mentioning 3 names from our community, which really disturbed me. And for the first time, I realized how desperately important it was for us to return the bones to the ground.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
How we do it.
If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the incredible Hawkin. This is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we're broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Stop the music, please. Stop the music, please. All right? Because apparently she's studying anthropology at Princeton, and she goes to the university, and they tell her that her ancestors' bones are on the table, that this is your people's skull here. So you better watch the way you move, watch the way you talk. You better watch what you say. Because this mulatto is an American Indian.
Was sitting at the table in the course of so everything that I did, I had to incorporate within my regular course of studies. What I did, however, find was the resources for me to be able to spend time and learn how to talk with people within my community. So I've spent a lot of time in the past year and a half going back and talking with the elders. Just a few weeks ago, I spent hours and hours and hours just talking bones. I think one of the ways for us to start regaining our culture and our spirituality lies in returning the bones. That came in my face, basically, in a classroom where a skull was sitting at the table. In the course of the conversation, the teachers, it came out that this was a Native American skull. They also started to say things that they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, teachers, it came out that this was a Native American skull. They also started to say things that they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, but that they knew who the people were. And it was actually a misunderstanding, but they ended up mentioning 3 names from our community, which really disturbed me. And for the first time, I realized how desperately important it was for us to return the bones to the ground. Other people's grandmothers and grandfathers wouldn't be sitting on a table for people to drop, and which is some of the things that were occurring. Ms. Hand, important it was for us to return the bones to the ground. Other people's grandmothers and grandfathers wouldn't be sitting on a table for people to drop, and which is some of the things that were occurring, mishandling. And then the opinions came out about how they couldn't understand why I would be so upset about this skull being on the table. It's a chance to look at how your people were. And I was like, but my people don't belong on a table. They don't belong in museums, and they don't belong anywhere else. And in order for me to regain my culture, to regain my identity, I have to help them regain theirs and put them back into the ground. So
what most people don't understand, by not studying the racial law, when those folks came out of slavery, everybody under the umbrella of Negro, you don't know what your ancestors are, so you have to go by your oral stories, or do some detective work by becoming a forensic genealogist and dissect the situation. How do you dissect it? I said it about 20 minutes ago. Learn the plantation. Learn what type of plantation it was. As a matter of fact, check the type of pottery that your ancestors made. You ain't gonna find no African making Native American pottery, or vice versa. He made the pottery of his tribe. Look at the basket. See what the baskets are. Was it a Native American basket? African basket. What tribe? None of it is the same. It's comparable. It will tell you. These are key things folks miss, and you shouldn't. That's why I'm pointing these details out to you to look for. Luckily, I'm speaking tonight from my own experience. This is my story. There are a lot of natives out there. Why you always talk about history? Because it applies to me. This is my story. You went to Oklahoma. Read this. And there's another thing. If you went to Oklahoma, the same skin tone you and I are now, or you lived on a reservation, on that reservation, you are what your tribe was. Whether you was Geechee, Swanee, Cherokee, Choctaw, you on the reservation, that's who you are. You're living out in the community, you're Negro or you're colored or you're white, depending on what community you lived in. If you're native and you're living in a majority white community, they classified you as white. If you lived in a majority black community, they classified you as black. These are things folks are not understanding, but when you go back and look at the census enumerators, it tells you this. The best thing everybody can do that's listening to me right now is study the history of the census. Not the census, study the history of it. And when you study the history of it, go and look at the state and local statute codes of laws that govern race. Because if you find a community with 500 musties or 500 mulattoes, what do you mean by musty? Musty is what they call a Native American mixed with an African. That offspring is a musty. If an Indian is mixed with white, they called them mulatto back then. These are different words and phrases they're playing with. Folks don't understand it.
Chief, what was the purpose of marching people to Oklahoma?
Land, bottom line. And let me tell you something. There are more resistance with going to Oklahoma than the books really want to tell. The Seminoles fought a 50-year war. If you read Jackson's diary, I love to read diaries of these people. And Jackson's diary was the Seminole War, his classification of that, and said, oh my Lord, this is a Negro war. That's in his diary. So we have to understand something here. Let's take the term maroon. Black and red equal maroon. This is how it's taught to me. So the natives and the Indians in South Carolina that ran away in the swamp and had offspring, they called them maroon. This is in South Carolina congressional records now. Now let's talk about the Black Seminole. We're talking a totally different person now. Because the Black Seminole, according to the congressional record, is a former slave who ran away and lived among the Indians. Now when we get down to Florida, we have Black Seminoles, we have Maroon, they done grouped everybody together. So now they say Black Indians. Well, how so? When you got a mixture of a native and an African. Another word for that you will hear your grandmother say is Blackfoot, because Blackfoot is the offspring of a native and an African. That's not the Blackfoot tribe. That was the derogatory word that was used. There wasn't no Blackfoot down in the South. Not in South Carolina and Georgia. So your parents could be right, and your parents are right saying they're native, but they're wrong by saying Blackfoot and Cherokee because these tribes wasn't in certain areas. So you have that right. So what do you have to do now to clear the situation? What you have to do now is sit down and start studying old colonial maps. Look at tribal territory maps and follow those maps back up. Don't start now and work your way back. Go to the earliest time of invasion and follow the colonies and watch how the land division changes. Land doesn't go nowhere. The name of places change. They need to check their history on that. Well, I ain't never read it. Well, go read South Carolina Congressional Record. There's a reason why, a very good reason why, South Carolina decided to classify Negroes who were slave owners as Moors and give them the status of being white. It is public information. You have a lot of these cats take information and then put their own spin on it. That's very dangerous. That's why I don't like reading a lot of books from a lot of authors, because you got to understand, is he pro this or is he pro that? Because he's going to write it in a biased perspective. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Those cats have no sovereignty here in America. Not in South Carolina, unless they come from Morocco, right? In a biased perspective. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Those cats have no sovereignty here in America. Not in South Carolina, unless they come from Morocco. Gaddafi granted South Carolina their first charter. Morocco.
Wow.
It's public information.
Chief,
Go ahead.
Chief, could you talk to us about the treaties?
There's a treaty of 1866. Now, the Treaty of 1866 talk about Negroes. Now, what I want everyone to understand, in 1866, that was after the Indian removal, and the removal was between 1832 and 1836. So the 1866 treaty, which deals with the 5 civilized tribes and the freemen. But check this out. It was an African Creek chief, Tao, that initiated this treaty for the Creeks. A month ago, I had dinner in California with his 9th generation grandson, Perryman. Like Perryman kept his history, I have my history. We had a meeting of the Creek and the Geechee in California. It was a wonderful 2 hours. That doesn't apply unless you know your family was in Oklahoma and they came back. So having to jump on that wagon and say the 1866 treaty applied to me and you haven't been tribal. Well, if you were tribal and came back, yes, you need to be looking at the Freedmen Bureau of those 13 colonies, of those southern states, that deals with that 40 acres and a mule that was lost. You need to deal with the defranchised people. Who are these defranchised people? Who are the people who was reclassified? Who are the refugees? Because if you read the Freeman Rule, it talks about the refugees, the freemen, and abandoned land. Well, who are the refugees? The Native Americans? And the Africans? That are under Negro? That come from separate plantations? Unless they were enslaved with these Native American tribes, and at that point, the Africans and the natives were together. But in South Carolina, it is documented fact that Native Americans and Africans, not all were on the same plantation. if you look at the timelines. So you know you got a mixture of people who are different. Here's a fact. Check the records. I'm not going to give you what a historian gives you. I'm going to give you where the historian gets his information. Go to the congressional records. Leave that treaty alone, because what you're going to do, you're really going to embarrass yourself. Like a lot of people I know, well, my grandmother shows up on the Dawes roll. Were your grandmother in Oklahoma? No. Well, you better search the Dawes and see where these events were taking place at the time, because that may be a common name, and most time it is. But people don't realize when many people from the South migrated to Oklahoma, when they got to Oklahoma, they named the places in Oklahoma the same names of the places in Georgia and Alabama. My grandmother that raised me from 3 days old, born 1912 in Stillwell, Georgia, Ruby Lee Langley. There's a Ruby Lee Langley in Stillwell, Oklahoma, born 1912. Wow. I'm going to tell you two things happened. Either there's some identity fraud going on,
Wait, stop the
or
music.
there's another
Stop.
Ruby Langley out there in Oklahoma.
Hold on. There's
But
no
since
way.
I'm not using the Dawes roll,
There's no way there's that many people in here. What the hell is going on? If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawkin. This is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect. And we're broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Let's fast forward a bit, all right?
identified with the Free African and joined the African Methodist Church. So Asbury AME Church in Savannah, Georgia, that my family has been going to since the beginning of time because my ancestors helped establish that church. And it became from Asbury Colored Church to Asbury AME Church. Now, Richard Allen in Philadelphia, in Delaware, in Maryland, is credited to starting the AME Church. But what folks need to understand, and I ain't taking nothing from Richard Allen, he was a disciple of Francis Asbury that gave them the Episcopal Charter. But Richard Allen, according to his diary, he never traveled south because he feared he would be put in slavery. But according to documents that I've read, even his mother was Native American. Don't quote me on it. That's what I've read. So a lot of the traditions, I give you a tradition. Homecoming, Harvest Day, that's Green Corn Festival. If you go to Asbury, you'll see folks doing the Holy Ghost dance, and look at some of the tribes in Oklahoma, you will think they're doing the ghost dance. Why is that? Because they're...
And I'm sure you will come back, I hope. I beg of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, this is Shirley Coffey from A Touch of Native America. I'm down here at the Nanticoke Lenni Lenape powwow in southern New Jersey, and I'm with Mark Bull, the tribal chairman of the Lenni Lenape people. And I hope you can appreciate the splendor that is taking place here today. And I'm so thrilled to have Mark, Pat, Ernie, and myself down here. Mark, could you tell us a little bit about your powwow, how long it's been going on, about how many people come each year, and it's...
They're there, owning land.
So it's not as far-fetched it's not as far-fetched, because I think a lot of us, that's why we go straight to Africa, because I know my grandmother and grandfather never Africa, they would look at you like you was crazy. So doing what you just said, that would show a lot of us that that isn't the case.
Geechee.
Okay, listeners, you have any other thing, all the document to you with no problem. Area code 205. Could you have a question for the chief?
Actually, I do. Good evening, Chief Langley and Carrie. I appreciate the information that you are providing this evening. What I would like to know is, what difference does it really make if we are African, if we are Indian, if we are Negro? And you probably covered all of this, but before you go, I just want you to give that to us just one more time. What difference really does it make what we are classified as? Thank you, and I'm going to mute my phone and listen.
I'm going to answer that question.
Oh, it looks like we've lost the chief. He's coming back right now. Sorry about that, Chief.
Are we still on the air?
We're still on the air. Sorry about that.
I'm going to answer that question from my own life and experience. And that is, I'm a Geechee Indian. I'm a member of the Geechee Indian tribe. I reside on my Aboriginal land. I have an Aboriginal land claim because I'm an indigenous descendant of Geechee Indian. A African is not, unless he is part of Geechee. If you don't have a land claim, if you're not tied to a tribe, then do not claim your Indianness. Embrace your Africanness. But do not walk in a Native American meeting claiming you are Native American wearing a daishiki. So it's a choice. Totally up to you. I am a Geechee American Indian. That is who I am. That's what I live. That's what I breathe. That's where my ancestors are. And my family has taken it to the point of taking it legally. We have had our ancestors that are past legally changed back to who they are. So their deaths and their birth certificates have been amended. Some of them have been amended without having an amended code on it.
Chief, what is Chief, what is an amended code?
When you modify a death certificate or birth certificate and they put amended on it. They said it was changed and it was authorized to be changed. Or it could be changed without having any amendment on it. It all cares on how you want to embrace your ancestors. I paid tribute to mine. That's who they are. That's who they were. And that's who I legally had it changed to. We were able to do that by knowing who we are. That's who we always have been. Geechee.
In these treaties that with, there's a lot of people out there, that are trying to find their ancestry and all these things and look at all these so-called treaties and all these things. Are there any, code words in these treaties that would, let us know, or in these documents that let us know that they're exactly talking about us? Hello?
Chief,
Hello?
did you get that? Chief, did you get that question?
What was the question?
Rick, can you ask it again?
Oh, I was saying, you know, a lot of the people out there listening, you know, they're trying to, you know, trying to find their heritage, and they're trying to look into all these treaties, you know, and they probably get mixed up with a lot of the things that they're looking for. Are there any like code words or things that we should be looking for in these particular documents that would let us know that they're definitely talking about us?
Let me say this. Those of us that didn't migrate to Oklahoma or any other place out west, there were treaties that were signed prior. And according to your state, those treaties may still be in effect. According to your state's constitution. Some states are still aligned with constitutions during the British era. It all depends. Some folks in Oklahoma would say that don't apply. They are in Oklahoma.
The information you give is so simple, so direct, so to the point. Why does it seem like this is so hard for us to understand and get?
Because it has never been taught. And when you go on a genealogy search, no one thinks to look at colonial law and look at racial classification because they never knew it existed. I am a forensic genealogist. I teach this. I have been studying it for over 10 years. It is very effective, very easy, along with navigation of maps. Here's an example. If your ancestors shows up on the census in 1850, that tells you right now your ancestors wasn't enslaved. Secondly, if they show up on 1850 in the census as a farmer, go look at the congressional records and to see what did they allow the Indians to do? What trade were the Indians involved with at that time? They were farmers. If you find any documentation with your family name on it, past 1850, they were not a slave. Don't let nobody fool you for that one. They are indigent servants. That means there were Africans that came over. But the majority of the Africans that came to South Carolina were free. Remember, Virginia expelled 60,000 free Africans around 1690. 60,000 people. What does that tell you?
So, Chief,
go ahead. People need to study the congressional records. Get out of these history books.
Chief, why do you say get out of the history books? Because that's where a lot of us, that's where we like to claim that we brag on what we read out of these books. Why are the books so unimportant, and why haven't they really helped us?
Because they're biasly written and they omit history. Omitting history is worse than telling a lie. You left it out, so it didn't exist, so I can't find it. I'm sorry. I've had so many white people get upset with me. We were never slaves. The hell you wasn't. You better check South Carolina colonial records. The British sent 75,000 of y'all over here who was Irish and Irish. It's in the congressional record. Oh, they were indentured service and not slaves. You're right.
What's the difference,
how come when you go back, everybody that's on this call right now, go to the census site and look up the census of 1790, and the 1790 census will tell you they did not take names in the 1790 census. It tells you the first question it asks, how many free white men in the household? Why are you going to say free if nobody wasn't enslaved? How many free white women in the household? Why are you going to say free if somebody wasn't enslaved? How many free persons?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
So basically, what you're saying is not what is written, but it's like you said, what's omitted.
It is what's omitted. Go look at the census studies, the census history of 1790.
Chief,
They did not record any names. If you want to find your family, listen to me carefully. If you want to find your family beyond 1790, you have to search land deeds, land boundary grants, land warrants. You will find your people. They're there, owning land.
So it's not as far-fetched it's not as far-fetched, because I think a lot of us, that's why we go straight to Africa, because I know my grandmother and grandfather Africa, they would look at you like you was crazy. So doing what you just said, that would show a lot of us that isn't the case.
Edgefield, South Carolina. And in Edgefield, South Carolina, in the 1700s, it talks about the Egyptians. The Egyptians were quoted as free Moors. Matter of fact, I'm going to send it to you right now, and you read it off to the people. In the slave
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
What is now known as Edgefield, South Carolina. And in Edgefield, South Carolina, in the 1700s, it talks about the Egyptians. The Egyptians were quoted as free Moors. Matter of fact, I'm going to send it to you right now, and you read it off to the people.
Economics in our communities are in bad shape, and we produce nothing in this country. All we do is consume. And some of the information he's given, it will connect us back to the land. It'll probably connect you back to some of the industries that your people were on previously. You know, and this is definitely what needed, especially for the young people. Chief, where are you sending that email? I mean, that
This I see being in Louisiana. Can you get a couple of calls? Give me about 2 minutes to locate this one.
Okay. People waiting on the line who are listening, do you have any questions for the chief?
I do have a question.
Please, go ahead. Where are you calling from? What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Coco. I'm calling from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have a two-part question. My first question is, I heard him mention that I can go to the archives building to research my history of being in Louisiana. If you have any knowledge, where can I go to find out exactly more about my history? I do know that for a fact that I have Indian in my blood, and as well as Creole in my blood, just by seeing past family members and stuff like that. And my second part of my question is, I am a natural hairstylist, and behind the chair, I try to talk to my stylist a lot about, culture and, learning about themselves and, just getting to know their history and stuff like that. So I'm just asking a general question, what is it that I can do now as I'm learning more to be able to speak to my clients and to my people, just giving any type of information, empowerment on, how to go about reaching my people a little bit better than what I have been.
Once you find the information in the state archives go look up the colonial laws of Louisiana. Once you find those laws, start looking in the statute laws and race classification laws. Once you have that information, point them to a source. The worst thing you could do is have somebody tell you about something, but can't give you an affirmed source where they got it from. So authors are always biased. Somebody always, I don't like the way this guy writes. But if you go to the congressional records and get the information where the author gets the information from, you have given them the source. We have Heritage Club meetings, and we have them on Tuesday night.
After reading a tenth of what he sent you, you will be looking at yourself in a whole different way. So please contact them. Chief, can you give your email and
particular state to get this information?
Oh, okay. Okay. Ordered that the ordinance be sent to the Senate, and that Mr. Senate ordered that the
journals of the House of Representatives, this is where they need to go in their particular state to get this information.
Oh, okay. Oh, the state records of South Carolina. So what do you want me to read?
Scroll down where it says 20 January 1790, page 363.
By order of the House, Jacob Reed, Speaker, ordered that the message be sent to the Senate, and that Mr. Hugh Rutledge and Mr. Dees do carry the same. The House proceeded to the second reading of a bill to incorporate the Baptist Church on Horns Creek in Edgefield County, state of South Carolina, when a motion was made and seconded that the bill be changed into an ordinance, which was agreed to. The ordinance then read through and agreed to. Ordered that the ordinance be sent to the Senate, and that Mr. Simpkins and Colonel Anderson do carry the same. And then the House adjourned till tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Scroll down. You see the blue section where it says a petition? Read that.
A petition was presented to the House from sundry free Moors, subjects of the Emperor of Morocco, and residents in this state, praying that in case they should commit any fault amenable to be brought to justice, that they as subjects to a prince in alliance with the United States of America may be tried under the same laws as the citizens of the state would be liable to be tried, and not under the Negro Act, which was received and read.
There you go. Now, go down a little bit further where it says Clarinda.
Clarinda humbly sheweth that your petitioners some year past had the misfortune, while fighting in the defense of their country, to be captured with their wives and made prisoners of war by one of the kings of Africa, that a certain Captain Clark had them delivered to him on a promise that they should be redeemed by the Emperor of Morocco's ambassador then residing in England, in order to have them returned to their own country. Instead of which he brought them to this state and sold them for slaves. Since that period they have by the greatest industry been enabled to purchase their freedom from their respective masters, and now prayeth your honorable house that as freeborn subjects of a prince now in alliance with these United States, that they be not considered as subjects of this state, now in force, called the Negro Law. So they don't want to be subject to the Negro Law. But if they should unfortunately be guilty of any crime or misdemeanor against the laws of the land, that they may have a just trial by a lawful jury, and your petitioner as in duty bound with every prey. Ordered that they be referred to a committee. The following gentlemen were accordingly appointed: Mr. Justice Grimke, General Pinckney, and Edward Rutledge.
There you go.
So they okay, that just separates the two right there.
They gave them a status of white. This is common not only in South Carolina, it's common throughout the South. So your relatives may be classified as white, but they're not if you descend from some of these Africans that they call free Moors. This is the only law that these Moors run around here talk about, the Sundry Act of 1790, and you see this law was implemented in South Carolina.
So when they call them the Sundry Free Moors, what does that mean?
They're not slaves.
So the brothers that are walking around and calling themselves Moors, this is who they are then.
That's what they want to claim they are, but you see those Moors descend from Morocco.
Right.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Okay, that's incredible.
Because a lot of them, they call themselves the Washita Moors, the blah blah blee Moors. So they really not are indigenous. They're just trying to what?
Well, you see what it just said, right?
Right.
Now I'm going to send you something else to prove blacks were slave owners. Read this document that I just put in your Facebook. Another one from the archives. Read this petition.
Petition details?
Yeah, read that.
And people are listening. If you're on Facebook, you can documents and I'll send them right to you. This is petition details. South Carolina, Charleston. You want me to start where? At the abstract?
Salutation.
To the Honorable William James, Waddy Thompson, Henry William DeSar, Theodore Galliard, and Thomas Waddles, Judge of the Court of Equity in the state, James Dobin. Filing date, January 25th, 1814. Ending date, January 25th, 1814.
Abstract. Go ahead.
Samuel Holman, a free man of color, asks that Anthony Chenette, his attorney and agent, account for the action while Holman was in Africa. Holman states that Chenette charged him $8,236 for sundry supplies of the domestic kind in 1805, having no suspicion then that the sum was incorrect and unjust. He executed the said Chenette a mortgage of 42 Negroes. In the fall of 1805, Holman entered into agreement with Frederick Tavel for a joint voyage to the coast of Africa, with Tavel advancing the necessary funds for the trip. To secure his debt to Tavel, Holman executed a simple indemnity bond for $12,000 that was secured by the same 42 Negroes already mentioned as having been mortgaged to Anthony Chenette. Prior to his voyage, Holman appointed Chenette his agent to transact his business during his absence. Charging that Chenette illegally seized and sold certain slaves, Holman avers that he has applied. Holman avers that he has applied to the said Anthony as his agent to make out a full and fair statement of all his transactions as his attorney during his absence. But the said Chenette hath hereto wholly refused, and keeps your orator totally ignorant of the state of his property and funds in his hands. He therefore prays that Sinead be ordered to answer his charges, and that he be decreed to deliver up to him the bond and mortgage. Holman also prays that the defendants not be allowed to molest, seize, carry away, sell, or otherwise dispose of any of the Negroes mentioned. He said bond and answer his charges, that he be decreed to deliver up that was the end of it. Holman also prays that the defendants not be allowed to molest, seize, carry away, sell, or otherwise dispose of any of the Negroes mentioned in said bond and mortgage.
And I'm just thinking like, man, he straight taking an allegiance to the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like straight swearing an oath. Yeah. You might be watching right now. I want you to think about what you be doing, bro. Who you made an oath to. See, because the Great Spirit, the Most High, the Supreme Being, one creator of all things in the heavens and the earth, my maker, your maker, he's not gonna hold that oath against you. If you break that oath with them demons and come on over here to the light side, your maker gonna forgive you. If you continue like this, you blind in this life, you'll be even more astray in the next.
Bliss be unto you all. Welcome to Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect. Please share the live stream and smash that like button. If you're new here, this is what we do here. Too high for pigeons to fly. You too can learn to walk on the water and live in the sky. Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe.
One at a time, y'all. We got the incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Oh, shit. Yeah. To college.
Their culture. So the conversation, the teachers, it came out that this was a Native American skull. They also started to say things that they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, but that they knew who the people were. And it was actually a misunderstanding, but they ended up mentioning 3 names from our community, which really disturbed me. And for the first time, I realized how desperately important it was for us to return the bones to the ground. Other people's grandmothers and grandfathers wouldn't be sitting on a table for people to drop, and which is some of the things that were occurring, mishandling. And then the opinions came out about how they couldn't understand why I would be so upset about this skull being on the table. It's a chance to look at how your people were, and I was like, but my people don't belong on a table. They don't belong in museums, and they don't belong anywhere else. And in order for me to regain my culture, to regain my identity, I have to help them regain theirs and put them back into the ground. So after that class, I spoke with some people in the university and made sure that wasn't going to happen in that classroom anymore. And then I approached the tribal council and asked them, can we take steps now that we know that there's a possibility that those people are direct descendants to do that? And they did that immediately, which made me feel very, very, very good to know that my work and that the people were getting a sense of what they needed to do. So I was very happy with that.
Where's that situation standing at the present time?
Well, I don't know. They're taking care of it at the office. Things that happen. See, when you're talking about things like that, it's a very slow process because you're fighting against the university. Even when you have things that are found locally, it might take 3, 4, 6 months to get them reinterred. Case in example, we had a fellow that was riding around with a skull in the back of his car, and when I found out about it, I called myself doing the right thing. I got in touch with the federal government, because I can't take the law into my own hands. Well, in the meantime, they got in touch with Trenton State Museum. We got through the Justice Department, we got the bones back, and come time to reinter them, then they said no, they had to be studied by the...
anthropologist?
No, it's the one that takes care of you when you get shot or something.
But the coroner's office?
The state coroner's office had to examine the bones, but see, all that I can see. But what happened, this lady came down with a full team of people and started to dig through the remains.
We were standing there waiting to enter the bones, and our people had to stand there while this team sifted through the sand and the dirt
and for what?
Disturbed our people's minds. We sat there, had to stand there.
In my particular class, the same situation came up where they had to study the bones even before they would give them back. And the reasoning behind that was that after all these years that they've been sitting in museums, if we don't do anything with them now, then it would have been a waste.
Indigenous issues. I am Himok Sheila, Director General for the National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People, located in Northeast Indian Country, America. NAAFP is a United Nations registered IPO. It was established by recognized and unrecognized Aboriginal and Native Americans, along with signatories foreign and domestic. I'm thankful for this opportunity, Honorable Chair. On the topic of Indigenous peoples' agenda addressing the first 6 steps, as I'm calling them, Indigenous peoples must first be recognized by colonizing societies as members of the human family. And the process of recognition must come from the top of societal leadership. In the United States, Indigenous people, American Aborigine, are not even allowed the basic right to identity and are labeled as commercial constructs, subjects, property. So the answer to today's topic of steps is the same for the questions which have been asked over by this convening body. The statement is the same. Before we can begin to speak about the process or a process to address these steps for Indigenous people, we must, as World Indigenous Aboriginal people, along with the United Nations countries, demand the United States reform policies of misidentification, apartheid, and environmental racism against the Indigenous people of America. NAAFP 2015 accomplishments and intent for 2016 through 2017 shall further embrace and assist individuals who are part of reclaiming their tribal cultural identity, implementing sustainable development platforms, while actively assisting members in securing justice and remedy in many areas of their existence, including land claims, custody, and protection of tribal children from covert adoption and placement outside the Indigenous community. Last week, NAAFP registered 16 delegates, all of whom stood on this floor, awaiting an opportunity to demand justice. And the ears of justice ignored their presence. So today, I, Tushka, standing there, Sheila, speak in their stead. In 2015, when we attended our first session, we were not allowed to make a statement. So this year, we brought NAAFP members from 12 different historical tribes from Northeast America, as well as tribal leaders from Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, to help in making a visual statement. It is unfortunate that we must attend this forum to visually show and say to the world, we, the dark Aborigine of America, are still here. The people who joined me last week but are absent today were bloodline family descendants of first contact American Indian principal leader Massasoit Osamequin. Massasoit Osamequin signed the first treaty with King James, allowing the Europeans access to the lands of America. Today, by order of royal decree from Sagamore William Winds of Thunder Guy, the Treaty of King James and the Massasoit is hereby rescinded. The direct descendants of the first contact Indigenous people in America are not allowed to be recognized as who they are, but instead are forced to accept methods of paper genocide, misclassification, and forced U.S. citizenship assimilated as African American and other false identities. The United States must allow indigenous right to identity for the American Aborigine. The United States, being primary creator of the United Nations Charter in 1945, must be encouraged by the member nations and supporters of the United Nations to change its racist policies. These policies have continued to violate the rights of millions of ignored and misclassified American Aborigine Indigenous people. We are not killed in the woods and forests like the people of West Papua or Brazil. We are killed in the streets in broad daylight, and nothing is done about the killings in the street in broad daylight. That is my statement. Thank you.
Dom DeMarco. In between me and the other dudes is this. You gon' get me, and I'm gon' come see you, Jack. You gon' get some other dudes, they gon' play this rapper with you. So if you want it, man, come on with it. If you want it with me, you gon' smell my cologne. Let me get out. I'm the bar number 9, but I do not play.
That's the same clone I wear.
That's about the sanctuary, cause we keep God first in everything we do.
Hey, Pimp.
Can't do nothing, nigga. You can't do nothing, nigga. That's what I'm saying, nigga. You can't do nothing, big man.
I just saw you. I just wanted to touch you, hold you, about you, and your incredible excitement about you, incredible excitement about you.
Please hold, and we will attend to you shortly.
Assalamu alaikum.
Get your hand out of my pocket! Get your hand out of my pocket, nigga! Get your hands out of my pocket!